Okay, perfect. So again, Frank, congratulations on making it to the TEDxBU speakers list. I'm very excited to hear your talk later in April. If you can, please introduce yourself, your background, and your occupation and the title of your TEDx talk.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Possemato. I'm an English instructor. I do teach at BU, but I mainly teach at Cosumnes River College in California. Um, and I am a BU alumni. So I went, a first generation of my family to go to college, and I went to BU. So it'd be very meaningful to me to give that speech and to stand in that same ground and be in that same place where I was a student. Um, my talk is titled "How to Live an Analog Life in a Digital World: A Guide for Living Soulfully in an Age of Overload." So my talk is about, and we can get into it more in just a second, but my talk is about some practical, inexpensive, free ways that you can take back some of the control from your device. We all struggle with it. We all struggle with finding a balance between our life in the immediate world around us and the life inside of our phone. And very often I'm overwhelmed by my device. I work from home. Most of my teaching is remote. It's a real struggle for me to balance isn't even a strong enough word. It really is a struggle. It's a battle between, the life that inside me and around me and the life in my device. And so in a short TED talk, I'm going to try to lay out some ways that have worked for me that might work for other people too, to help get you back some control in your life.
Mhm. I noticed that when I was reading the talk, and I was very intrigued with the whole idea that we're living in two separate worlds. Can you just talk to me about the inspiration behind your talk and a little bit more about those two worlds, such as the digital and analog world?
For sure. So in my talk, I quote an author called Neil Postman, and he said something along the lines of, "Every new technology changes our relationship to reality." So if we look at it historically, think about the telephone or the telegraph or TV or the internet, whatever. It changes our relationship to reality. So that's about as big as it gets. So when a new technology comes along, reality as we know it warps, it changes, right? So I would argue that, with our devices, we live in two worlds. We live in two realities. There's this reality inside my device, and then there's a reality of this room that I'm in right now and the world around me and the things that I'm feeling. And we switch between them in the same day, in the same hour. I'm in a different world. I'm in a different, I don't know how science fiction you want me to put it. I'm in a different dimension when I'm on here than I am when it's you and I together looking at each other, talking to each other. So, and we're always warping between those two things all day. Um, and so that's something that's huge and kind of unnoticed for a lot of us, right? We're doing it. We don't even really realize we're doing it. It's normal to us, but it's also very strange, right? That we're living inside our device and we're living in three-dimensional real world around us, right? So um, when you think about that, once I realized that, because I'm of a certain age where some of my growing up was before I had a device, and so I really do feel like I've lived in two worlds, and I think that's pretty normal. People feel like, even a younger person like yourself, a generation from now, you'll feel like, well, the world I grew up in was different than the world now. That's normal, right? But the fact is that there really is, or my argument is that there really is two worlds that we live in. Even a person that only lived in the digital era, you're switching between analog life, which is the life of your senses and what's immediately around you and what you're feeling inside, and digital life, which is the life of your device and that world that we live in, social media, all that. You're switching between them in the same day. We all are. So once we realize that, we can at least think about how we want to live a little differently and how to live better with and without our devices because they're not going away, right? So we're going to think about how to live better with them, but also how to live better without them.
Exactly. And I don't know if you could kind of dive into this a little deeper, but have you seen any sort of personal impacts in regards to these two worlds or like around you? Like, how would you describe those impacts that the worlds bring to our
Yeah, um, I have. So I'll start with the good part, and then I'll get to the harder part, right? So it has positive effects in my life. I mean, pretty recently, so it was on Thanksgiving, and I remember thinking, I'm going to go device free. I'm not going to check any of my emails. Remember, I work from home, I teach from home. if I can't go 24 hours without looking at my device on Thanksgiving, when can I, right? So I'm not gonna do it on the Thanksgiving break. And it actually went about 72 hours. It went longer than that. I went about 3 days without it. And I felt happier. I felt more present. I felt less overwhelmed. I felt better. There's no other way to put it for those 72 hours. Now, if I did that for every day, I'd have to find a new job. I'd lose my job or whatever. But even taking that break, I felt different. But the thing is, what I've noticed is that the progress that I make is very easily reversed, but it's also very easily regained. It's a constant thing that's going on, right? So if I make a point to have personal conversations and take time to think and meditate and not just turn to my device every second, I feel different. I feel a different energy in myself, and I think it's better for my relationships as well. But then I can very quickly get right back to I want to see how many subscribers my channel has or whatever it is. I'm constantly checking that stuff. I can switch back to that right away, but I can also switch back right away to the more analog, right? So it really is very constant. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I've changed, my life is forever different. It's like a back and forth all the time, right? So it's the progress is easily reversed, but it's also easily regained.
I like how you worded that. You really did. I know you talk about a lot of analog energy, something that we shouldn't let die, to the digital world. Can you explain more about the term, its benefits, or possible impacts or challenges from your personal experience?
Sure. So once again, for my purposes, in my analogy, when I say analog, I'm not talking about getting a VHS or etc. Analog is continuous. It's unbroken. It's the world of your senses and the world inside you, right? So analog is the world without your device, and the digital world is the world inside of your device or your computer, whatever it is. And so I'm sorry, I apologize for that background noise, but in those um, again, regardless of age, I want to make it very clear that I'm not talking about this as about one generation versus another, or in any way criticizing people that grew up in the digital era. I, I mentioned in my talk that if you're a person that grew up in the digital era, this is a new energy for you, right? You've only known the digital world. So taking the time to have a 2 or 3 hour conversation with your friend and not use your phone. If you want to describe something, you can't show a picture of it. You can't show a video. You have to just talk it out. If you can't remember something, you have to guess. Maybe you'll even get it wrong, but it's a different kind of energy. It's a different kind of interaction, and it's valuable, and we don't want it to die from the world, and it doesn't have to.
Mhm. Um, First of all, that's amazing. I remember reading it and I was just like, I need to know more about what what you're talking about here in your talk. And I'm really excited for other people to also hear it as well. What would you have to say to those coming to TEDxBU on April 5th and want to hear your talk? Like just a personal message.
I've seen the other summaries of the other speakers as well. I really encourage people to come to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to learn from it. I think it's going to be uplifting. Um, it will be a special day. I really feel that way. I'm really looking forward to what's coming up. So if you can make it, please join us. If you can't make it, please watch the videos.
Perfect. And is there anything else you would like to share before we end our interview today?
I'd like to say thanks to you. I'd like to say thanks to BU, the Thurman Center, and everybody else. Again, I'm very excited to be a part of this. Like many of the other speakers, I've lived what I'm talking about. I'm taking something that it took me months or years to learn, and I'm putting it into a 12 minute presentation. Um, so that's really helpful for the listeners because they're going to get the distilled experience from us, the speakers, and be able to put it into their lives and do something with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Frank, for taking the time out of your day to have this interview regarding your talk. Greatly appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on April 5th to hear your talk.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, I'm gonna end the recording.